The Rams tried to get Puka Nacua into rehab, and he said, yeah. Should we buy into the Shohei Otani hype for Cy Young after one start? And Quentin Byfield's resurgence can't mask the fact that the Kings will soon have 0 centers. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the Faithful Angelenos afternoon report. So it is April 2nd, 2026. I am punch drunk after a transcontinental flight. Welcome back to the home office. Do you like being in the know about LA sports? Well, if you do, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, and we got lots to discuss, a quick look at the scoreboard. Cleveland 4, Dodgers 1, Kings 2, St. Loser 1 in overtime. Meanwhile, today, the Lakers are at Oklahoma City at 6:30. San Antonio is at the Clippers at 7:30, and the Kings are playing again. They're hosting Nashville. Puck drops at 7:30. So, with that out of the way, what do you say we get to the news? Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua has checked into a holistic care facility in Malibu, TMZ reported yesterday. Translation, rehab. Let's not try to mince words. Dude's in a highfalutin rehab. Now, this is not a shock at all, considering multiple incidents in the last year that damn sure tarnished his reputation as a 5th-round pick who made himself into one of the NFL's most feared offensive weapons through good old-fashioned American grit. Nacua's attorney said that this has nothing to do with a recent lawsuit filed by a woman who claimed the receiver bit her and then dropped anti-Semitic slurs at a New Year's Eve party. And while I do not believe the woman's whole story, let's be real about this. Her behavior on videotape that night has Girls Gone Wild scent all over it. You still can't help but say, nothing to do with it at all, dude? Really? You look at Nacua's recent behavior and say, bruh, you've got to maintain. And I think enough people got to him, and eventually the word sunk into his skull. For example, Nacua brought an influencer to Rams practice. Not a personal trainer, not videotaped for the upcoming game, an influencer. And then said influencer, just for kicky kicks, talked Nacua into a dance that has a name to it, the Greedy Jew. So, well done. Then you have Nacua publicly beefing with refs via the press and social media. He did not have any reputation like this, 6-7 months ago? And now this party, where he ends up getting passed out in the back of a party bus while his accuser twerked. All of that drama, by the way, leading into the Rams' playoff run. Put it all together, and this feels like a CW teen drama about a good kid trying to fit in with the wrong crowd. Nacua's legal reps say that the receiver will be out of rehab in holistic care facility in plenty of time for Rams organized training activities. The lawyers said the goal for Nacua in rehab is to improve his overall behavior in every aspect of his life that he can do it, unquote. In other words, his lawyer is saying, bruh, you have got to maintain. So happy that the message got through. While Matthew Stafford and the Rams have not reworked his contract yet, that is reportedly by design. Rams COO Tony Pastors told the LA Daily News, quote, he wants to win, so how could he help? How can he be part of that? And he's done an awesome job with us in trying to help solve those things. It does allow us to do some things. Add Trent McDuffie and do some of those moves because Matthew understands the mechanisms and is willing to work with you and help create that flexibility, unquote. Sean McVay said he was happier the process to boost Stafford's pay has been so much smoother than last year, when the quarterback had to learn the hard way that if he forced a trade, he'd be putting his life at risk behind the Jets or Raiders' trash offensive lines. So yeah, much smoother. This time he actually knows the lay of the land. By the way, I wouldn't be too surprised if a contract gets signed sometime within the next couple of days. After all, the Rams were wondering who's going to back the guy up should he need time off. Well, it sure as hell isn't going to be Kirk Cousins. You might recall we were talking about Cousins a couple of days ago. This morning he signed with the Raiders. So we got a lot of Rams news to discuss. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments thread. You might recall that there was some chatter during spring training that Shohei Otani, man, he is capable of anything. Don't get him around the Red Sea. He'll put out a staff, and the next thing you know, we'll all be walking across the river. If he wants to be ambitious, win a Cy Young, well, go for it. Tommy John surgery be damned. I do not buy into this hype yet. Don't get me wrong, we all love hype. Who doesn't love a good hype man? If Otani actually does get in the running for a Cy Young, we'd all be more hyped than Diddy was to Biggie Smalls. Minus the copious amounts of baby oil and the blackmail photos. But I digress. Otani wound up pitching 6 shutout innings in his season debut against Cleveland, which sounds great because you go back to last season, Otani has thrown 22 2/3 consecutive shutout innings. But don't believe the hype. Here's why. 1, the Dodgers have gone along with recent Japanese baseball culture. When you play baseball over in Japan, starting pitchers only go once a week, regardless of the schedule. And there are 26 weeks in a regular season. That means that at the most, he's only going to be out there 25 more times. Compare that to recent Cy Young Award winners. Tarek Skubal over in Detroit, 2-time defending Cy Young Award winner, makes 30-plus starts regularly. The NL Cy Young Award winner pitched 32 last year. There will be voters out there who will take note that Otani will have thrown 6 fewer starts. There will be. Reason number 2. The Dodgers have more than one Cy Young candidate, guys. Splitting the vote. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Blake Snell. Remember them? And by the way, Dave Roberts has also suggested using Justin Robleski as a spot starter to give anybody in the rotation additional rest if need be. So, Robleski plugging in for Otani at different points of the season, you should count on that. Cy Young Awards and MVPs are cool, but let's be real. Here's the 4th reason, and this matters above all else. This franchise is on a quest. No National League team has ever three-peated. None. And longtime viewers of this program may remember me telling this story before. I was in Miami back in 2016. I sat right behind the Dodger dugout and watched Rich Hill pitch 7 perfect innings. Not just a no-hitter, it was a perfect game bid. And Roberts pulled him. Roberts later claimed that he saw redness on Hill's finger, fearing a blister was forming for which a pitcher could be down long term. Now, Hill denied this alleged rash, either on his finger or anywhere else on his body. It is Miami after all. But the point remains, when it comes to the mindset of Dave Roberts, we have more than 10 years of evidence. Individual honors be damned. The Dodgers are hunting titles. So be very skeptical of Shohei Otani going after a Cy Young. A second media outlet is claiming that Kings forward Quinton Byfield is playing his best hockey right now, that he's playing both ends of the ice, much like his mentor Anze Kopitar. Of course, none of these scribes wrote too little too late. Byfield has only 18 goals this season, guys. 18. Suboptimal. If he catches fire in the Kings' final 8 games of the season, maybe he can match his numbers from last year. But even if he matched his numbers from last year, that totally misses the point. Absolutely misses the point. This was supposed to be the season where last year's numbers not only were going to be exceeded, he was supposed to solidify his spot as a number 1 center, and he was supposed to take the mantle from Kopitar as the face of the franchise. Because if you think this is all about goals, that's not true. Center is the quarterback for all 3 zones on the ice. They're supposed to win faceoffs. They're supposed to lead breakouts out of the defensive zone. They're supposed to control center ice so that the other team doesn't gain a rush through the neutral zone. Lots of responsibilities, and Byfield has never grasped the whole dang thing consistently. Kopitar did for decades. And by the way, when he was in his heyday, he wasn't the only center that the Kings had who did that. When the Kings won their 2 Stanley Cups, they were thicker at center than BB Rexha. Now, to be fair, Byfield dropped a not-so-subtle hint why he's been gasping for air this season. He told The Athletic, quote, "After the season, we'll talk about it." Now, if we find out a couple of weeks after the regular season that Byfield underwent surgery, I'll listen to that argument. But if it's not surgery, it's going to be really hard to muster up empathy because Byfield's enigmatic performance has been stuck on repeat for years. Even worse, among the litany of personnel errors that the Kings committed in the last few years, they will soon find themselves without a damn center. Not a legitimate one. Not on any of the 4 lines anywhere. No on-ice leadership for that team at all. Because Samuel Angelenos hasn't even played 100 NHL games. You're really going to tell me that's a legit NHL center when he hasn't played 100? And by the way, he's on the 3rd line. Do you really boost him to the 1st? What about Alex Turcotte? Does anybody remember Gabe Vilardi? They traded him to Winnipeg in the franchise-murdering Pierre-Luc Dubois trade. Vilardi's not the Jets' top-line center. I'll grant you that. But you know what he is? He's better than Quinton Byfield. He has 10 more goals. If there's a glimmer of hope for the Kings' future, though, it is in the goalie prospects. They're about to add a 3rd to the mix, Hampton Slakinski. He's reportedly about to leave Western Michigan. Western Michigan reached the Frozen Four last year, but they've already been eliminated. Now, should he leave, he's obviously going to sign with the team that drafted him, the Kings. It's either that or fill out an application for the local dispensary. The question then becomes, though, where does Slakinski land? Because the other 2 big Kings goalie prospects are already in the system. Eric Portillo is over in Ontario. My condolences for being in the IE. And Carter George is playing for a Kings affiliate in Canada. So where does Slakinski go? And where he lands, who gets reduced playing time? Because that would mean somebody's star isn't as bright as we originally thought. Center Xavier Booker will stay with UCLA basketball, which, I mean, all right. But Mick Cronin has been begging for this team to get tougher. Are we really sure Booker is the guy to do it? Booker's numbers improved at Westwood, I'll grant you that. But that's because he got playing time that Michigan State was no longer willing to give him. And by the way, that uptick in stats, not exactly amazeballs. 7 points and 3.5 rebounds per game, guys. Now, UCLA officially has 5 scholarship players returning so far. So there's a genesis of something there. Of course, when I talk about college basketball, I'm reminded that I have no life to speak of. I say this because I actually watched the McDonald's All-American game to see if USC actually has something for next year. And I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of cool to say you have 3 McDonald's All-Americans that are about to arrive. I'm watching this game. The slogan on the court was, where hype becomes legacy, right? And all I saw was hype. I did not exactly see fundamentally sound basketball. Now, there were a couple of USC recruits that I stood out a little bit. Center Darius Ratliff started. He got his numbers, but that was only because they were playing better transition offense early in the game. I also think forward Christian Collins is mislabeled. They're calling him a power forward, but you would expect a power forward to play with power. That's not his game. He can score though, so he's going to have value. So I don't think we should go overboard on how much better USC basketball is going to be next year. Better? Likely. Michigan Fab 5 level? Not so much. The Lakers, by the way, have assigned Adu Thero and Dalton Connect to their G League affiliate so they can get some time during G League playoffs. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me, for example, about what you think is going to be Puka Nacua's future. Or do you think Shohei Otani does deserve a Cy Young run? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.